Hey, this is Tyler.
And this is Justin.
And this is Newbies to Movies, a podcast that we like to talk about new movies that we watch. The theme of this week is Thanksgiving films, as Thanksgiving is coming up. Yeah, first starting off with what we've been watching for the past week. I'll just shout out with Stranger Things. I'm rewatching Stranger Things before the new episode comes out on Wednesday. So Wednesday before Thanksgiving, released on Christmas and New Year's. So I've been trying to rewatch it. I'm really excited for it. A lot of people have been saying things online like, oh, they're too old. It's going to look weird. I don't care. Like, this is like a show that I grew up with. I really liked it. Every single season hit for me when it came out on like different dates and all that kind of stuff. And it's going to be cool to see it wrapped up.
I think they said they're going to do a little bit of a time jump too, which makes sense. I feel like you probably have to, but I don't think it's going to bother people as much as they might think.
Yeah. I mean, also, people in their 20s always play high school kids anyways, so I don't think it's that weird.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that we saw them so young that people are like, oh, they look so old. It's like, no, because we saw them as babies.
Yeah, I this week I watched Beautiful Boy, really sad movie, but really awesome acting by Steve Carell, who's, normally known for comedy type roles, but he did amazing in this. And then obviously Timothée Chalamet killed it as well, playing a drug addict. I can't imagine is an easy thing to do, but they both portrayed it really well and really sad story.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't get more love on like far as like the nominations and award shows. But Steve Carell is amazing in it. Steve Carell, whenever he does like serious movies, it's so well done. Like just thinking of Foxcatcher, he was really good in The Morning Show, Beautiful Boy. Honestly, I think he should do that more often.
I meant to watch The Big Short last week when we did biopics, and I didn't get a chance to, but I know he plays a really serious role in that as well.
Yeah, he plays like a financial advisor in that, and he's like got like a little funny, queepy things part of it, but not like a comedy movie, but more so just the guy himself was pretty funny. Yeah, because he's a very like Boston kind of guy. Cool. So we'll get started with the Immaculate Grid again. Cool. So the top lines, this one is one word title, 3 or more word title, and released from 2005 to present. And the actors are Glenn Powell, Margaret Qualley, and Ryan Reynolds. So we'll start.
Dude, I'm going to cook. I love all 3 of these actors.
Yeah. These are way newer ones too.
Yeah. So one word title for Glenn Powell.
I'm thinking Hitman.
Hitman, yeah, there's that one, and then there's the new one, but I don't know if they're counting that.
Running Man's 2 words.
Okay, Running Man's 2 words. Hitman, do Hitman, yeah, that's a good one.
Why did I not click the right one? Well, that's stupid. I meant to.
Dang, right away we lose.
Yeah, just because I didn't know that. What the hell?
Oh no, I think it's the Hitman's Bodyguard.
No,
it's not.
No, I'm reloading because this is BS. This is BS. Anyways, all right. Well, that's stupid. Thought it was a Hitman. Is it not? It's not the Hitman's Bodyguard. Hitman's Bodyguard is the one with Samuel L. Jackson and Ryan.
Oh, and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Hitman, but it's 2 separate words. Yeah, that's crazy.
All right. Well, we already lost. But
all right. On to the Thanksgiving movies.
Let's just keep going. Glenn Powell, 3 or more word title. At top of the head, I'm thinking Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, Top Gun Maverick, but careful, they might put Top Gun together.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 separate words. Okay.
Okay, that's good.
Release.
This one you could probably do Running Man. I think that it'll count. Running Man.
There's an original one in like the 60s, though.
No.
So I don't know which one is which.
We're getting really screwed. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's called The Running Man.
Or let's just do a different one. All right, everybody, watch some. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Dude, it's so fun. Margaret Qualley. First one that comes up for
one word title.
Substance. Yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen that one.
Weird movie. Really weird.
Yeah, she does a lot of weird stuff.
Mm-hmm.
3 words or more title. I think we can go Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and then
65.
For this, I mean, you can do anything. I think of, all the movies she's done with Emma Stone lately, and like Jesse
Oh
Plemons. What
yeah,
was that one? I watched it.
Poor Things, or let's just do Poor
There's
Things.
the other one that the same director. That works. Yeah, that's good.
And then Ryan Reynolds. I feel like there's so many. I feel like for release from 2005 2025, I want to do Green Lantern just because I think that's funny.
Do Green Lantern. Yeah, that's good.
That movie sucks.
And then 3 or more words in the title. What's the title of the second Deadpool? Is it just Deadpool 2? I don't remember.
Yeah, just Deadpool
Yeah.
2.
Okay.
Deadpool versus Wolverine. Does first count?
Deadpool and Wolverine. That's probably good.
Let's see if that counts.
All right, dude. Let's go.
And then I mean, we could just do Deadpool if we really wanted to. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I was thinking of what's the one that he does where he's like in the video game?
Oh, Free Guy?
Free Guy. Yeah, Free Guy.
Yeah, that's 2 words.
Yeah. Yeah, just do Deadpool. That's it. Low hanging fruit.
And then
That's
Still
only
thinking.
42%. Wow.
Yeah. Still thinking of one word title for Glenn Powell. Because Hitman, I guess, was separated.
Yeah, he was. It's probably something that he was in before, getting big. I know he was in some like smaller budget movies.
Yeah.
I can't think of any off the top of my head.
He's such a
Let's see.
like a new, bigger actor.
Yeah, so it's tough. He did that one with Sydney Sweeney. That was Anyone But You. And then he did after that. Oh, he did Twisters.
Oh, duh.
Wasn't he in that?
Yep, he was. That's like one of the biggest summer movies last year. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 92%.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right, I'm counting that as a win on the BS.
Yeah. I'm counting that as a win because I thought Hitman was just one word. But anyways, cool. So yeah, this week's theme is Thanksgiving films. I think kind of a hard topic itself to find movies based on that because not many people make movies based around Thanksgiving, I would say.
Yeah.
Like one of them that we picked this week, Fantastic Mr.Fox, isn't technically like quote unquote a Thanksgiving film, but I think the vibes in it, like the cinematography of it, the colors are very Thanksgiving wise. Would you agree?
I agree, and I think we'll get into it more, I'm sure. But one of the big themes of the movie is family and just being grateful for what you have. So I think it definitely plays into that vibe a lot.
Yeah. It is interesting that there's another like horror movie, like a slasher movie called Thanksgiving too. And then you got Charlie Brown's Thanksgiving. Those are like the two bigger Thanksgiving things I can think of. Other than that, I don't really know many other Thanksgiving movies because usually people pick Halloween or Christmas and then people just forget.
Which surprises me a little bit. I guess just because, you kind of have the low-hanging fruit of, family themes and Christmas movies. So you'd kind of rather just go with that rather than Thanksgiving. It's kind of a less talked about holiday. It's always lived in Christmas's shadow.
Yeah.
So I think it might be just directors choose to go with Christmas. It's just a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that people should do more Thanksgiving movies. I know it's typically just dinner, but I think there's a lot there you can do with it.
Yeah. They do some interesting things like the Bear, the show, did a Thanksgiving themed show, like episode, and that was really well done. You can just really get into family dynamic, and that's one of the movies that kind of leads perfectly right into The Humans, which if you want to start off with that one.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you mentioned the bear because that's kind of what that whole episode reminds me of is The Humans. Now that I've seen it, that episode was probably my favorite episode in the whole show, and it was so tense. But getting into The Humans, this movie, follows what I think is the main character is Eric Blake. He was the father of the family, and he goes to his daughter's apartment in Manhattan, and everything, the whole movie kind of feels eerie. It's definitely filmed like a horror movie, which I found very interesting, and it's definitely a bold move because I feel like I never watched the trailer, but I feel like if you hint to this as a horror movie, horror fans are going to show up and they're going to be upset when they're not fully satisfied. But it was a really interesting story. I give the plot an 8. It's very grounded. There's not a whole lot going on besides dialogue in this film.
Yeah.
You're just taking dialogue and learning more about each character from scene to scene rather than, any action or anything actually going on you're stuck in the same apartment the whole time. But it's filmed cool because, you're hearing a lot of loud bangs, you're hearing a lot of loud noises. You think that you see people. He thinks that he sees people walking out in the alleyway, kind of like watching them.
Hmm.
But it turns out, at the end of the movie, that the biggest horror is this family's fear of relationships with each other and their trauma that they've had, and kind of letting each other in on their own trauma was the tough part. But what did you kind of get out of it?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to. It starts off with like him like looking out, but also just like this really like rundown apartment that they're moving into, and yeah, it's very horror-esque. And like while watching it, I had to like look up. I was like, "Is this a horror movie? Like, is this about to just like turn on the table on me and just like, is this family about to get like killed or something?" Like,
Yeah.
but no. Instead, it's just like the horror itself was like how dysfunctional and how much the family like low-key just don't like each other. That's what I was getting out of this. Like, especially towards the dinner, it was more and more like just eerie in the way, but it just seemed like they just didn't appreciate each other and really like each other. They kind of come together more towards the end, but you could just tell that like they have problems with each other.
Yeah, and I think that's what made this movie so different and interesting. I haven't really seen anything, done like this before. Getting into the characters, I gave it a 6. It's not so much, I guess, the characters. I just wish that, you had, an hour and 45, close to 2 hour minutes. I wish that some of the characters' stuff was a little more fleshed out. I get that was the point of the story. You have to kind of bring out stuff slowly because that is your whole plot, is learning about these characters and what traumas they have and everything going on. Very interesting cast, though, too. You had Beanie Fieldstein. I know she's a SNL regular. June Squibb, Jane Howdy Show. I know she was in a couple of things lately. Stephen Wen, Invincible, and Richard Jenkins and Amy Schumer, which was a kind of interesting cast. Don't know if any of them have done stuff together before or how that cast kind of came to be. It was interesting to see all of them and such a small kind of A24 film like this.
Yeah, it's a very interesting cast all over the place. Like I know Richard Jenkins mainly from Step Brothers, so it was interesting to see him like do such a serious role and kind of like not the best person. Obviously, every person makes mistakes, but like there's some pretty awful mistakes to be making, and then in front of his family and all that. So this is based off of like a play that like was huge, like won a couple Tonys, I'm pretty sure, if I'm reading this right. And then they made it into like a movie. And I'm just wondering how they like asked these different parts of the cast to be part of it. But I think Richard is such an interesting character because he clearly comes from like a more money than where Jane comes from, or from Deidre comes from, the daughter. And you could just tell that like the father kind of has some kind of resentment towards Richard throughout the movie because Richard's actually like being more faithful, just a better, I guess, husband than he was. Yeah. And it's kind of like a jealousy. I don't know if it's the right word, or more so just like he doesn't like him because he's doing it right compared to how he did it.
Yeah, I think the film also really dives into, like the I don't know, I don't want to say boomer mindset, but it's kind of like that nothing's wrong with you, just, take your hits and keep going, where I feel like our generation especially is kind of like, with mental health and everything like that, kind of work to address those issues and, stare at them and fight against them rather than just ignoring them. And I think that's one of his big problems too, especially with Richard, but also his 2 daughters as well. He sees them struggling a lot in this film.
Yeah, it's a good point because for us, it's not really weird for us to like go to therapy, talk to therapists. Like it's kind of like being more and more normalized. While like the older generation, especially like the masculinity part of it, is like men shouldn't be going to therapy kind of idea that really doesn't exist anymore. But there is still parts of the older generation that thinks, no, you just got to be tough and just take your hits and not complain about it. Which,
yeah, exactly.
Who knows if Richard would have went to therapy, he probably would have not done the stuff that he did.
Yeah. I mean, we could say this movie's been out a while. He cheated on his wife.
Yeah. He cheated on his wife and then like lost all of his money, pretty much, like all of his savings. And who knows if he would have just ended up going to therapy instead of just because he did those things to run away from a situation from his own self, it seemed like.
Yeah, so I think he looks at, Richard and his daughters and kind of resents them too because they figured it out before he could, and he messed it up. Getting into cinematography, the cinematography in this film was absolutely amazing. I don't know if you felt this way, but I felt so claustrophobic and intimate watching this movie. The apartment felt so tight and narrow, and every corner was just a pain in the butt. Everything was falling apart. The lights were going out. Like, yeah, it was a mess. But the way they filmed it in that sense was so well. They did some great hallway scene shots. You know, they did some really great build-up shots where you'd hear, like, you'd be zooming in on Richard, and then a big bang happens, and he jumps back, and, you know, stuff falls over. And yeah, it was just really confining, but also like endless at the same time. Like, it just felt like a maze that they were all trying to work through and trying to figure out. And they used like some really interesting aspects ratios, which I thought was cool. It was like a 1.85 to 1 at some points, which was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting because the director for this is the same guy that made the play. So he decided to go like make the movie based off the play, and I feel like it is in a very like play-ish kind of like cinematography way, where like you said, you were claustrophobic, but you were also kind of lost. Like, and they would themselves would sometimes like get lost and or like scared because they didn't know where they were. Obviously, it's a new apartment, but it's also just a weird kind of apartment. I don't know. It's like a very, I guess, a very New York type apartment that you would imagine if you moved to New York. That's what it would look like.
Yeah, because there's like 2 floors, but the top floor seems bigger than the bottom floor. It's like narrow. Yeah, the staircase up to the second floor is really tight, and it's like a 1970s spiral staircase type thing.
Yeah.
You don't see those like often. Yeah, it was really interesting.
I agree.
So for dialogue, I gave it a 7. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, obviously, you need the dialogue to be really high in this because, like I said before, you don't have any action sequences or a lot of body language going on. Pretty much all the character development is coming from exactly what they're saying to you. So one of my favorite quotes was, this is from Richard. He said, "This might be our last Thanksgiving together. Can we please give her a voice?" And, you know, he was referring to Momo, played by June Squibb. I just thought that was kind of interesting way to look at it. Obviously, that being one of the traumas that they're all going through is, you know, trying to help her get through life and taking care of their elderly grandma and their elderly mother. That can be really hard on families, and I just thought that was an interesting thing for him to say, especially with now knowing what he was going through at the time.
Yeah. I thought the dialogue was amazing in this film. It felt like very real, but also like kind of tragic for like a lot of real families that probably are like this in the country right now, that are very like dysfunctional, probably don't like each other the best, and had those like rough conversations that really are just impacted by money itself. Because it's really what he made the play and movie off of, was like real families and real family stories that he adapted kind of into like his own.
Yeah, the only reason I'd say I gave it a 7 is I think that some of the characters could be a little more fleshed out, like I mentioned earlier. And I think that had to do with some of the dialogue. I wish Amy Schumer's character, I'm not the biggest fan of her, but I wish it was fleshed out a little more what was going on. I mean, I know obviously she had a tough breakup with the girl that she was talking to, and that was going on. But again, it seemed like that kind of disappeared into the second act. And I just wish I got a little more out of that. And, you know, with the other characters too, same with Bridget, was it Bridget or Bridget? And Richard character too.
Yeah. Well, it seemed like once the dad owned up to what he did or told everyone, it kind of just focused on him for the entire second act and like the consequences from that. Everyone else's problems like went to the side, which maybe that's realistically what would happen if somebody really messed up their whole entire family dynamic that hard, that it's like, all right, we don't need to talk about our problems because you're like the problem. So,
yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. There's kind of got forced to the side. And then for set design, I gave it a 9. Like we kind of talked about with cinematography, that had so much to do with it. Very tight and eerie, old and worn down. Yeah, it was just very tense the whole time you were in there. It felt like, you know, something was going to come out of the closet and get them at any moment.
Yeah. Well, it like kind of jumps to already him in the apartment with the father in the apartment, but then it ends with them leaving in like a very like eerie way of like, it's dark and then like the light closing, and I really liked the whole set design of it all. thought it was really cool.
And I don't know if you felt this way, but when they went to the roof finally, I was like, I don't know why I felt so relieved. I was like, okay, this is like a normal world. Like they're not just like in some box somewhere. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It was very relieving to like see the sun, like just see something come
Yeah.
out of what felt like such a claustrophobic box.
Yeah, it felt like they just really just went to on some random street in New York and were like, yeah, let's pick that apartment to make this movie out of.
Yeah.
Like, let's just rent this out for like a month and film this.
Yeah. And then for acting, I gave it an 8. Obviously, Eric Blake was really great as, you know, the main character, but I think all the actors like fully embodied the family awkwardness and camaraderie that you have at big holiday dinners, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, that kind of stuff. It truly felt like a kind of, how do you say it, like a mixing pot of a family. You know, everybody has been off doing their own thing for a while, and now everybody's coming back together, sharing stories and you know, just telling about themselves more and more, and they're kind of becoming closer like throughout the movie. But then obviously once Richard lets them know what happened, then it all kind of, they all fade back into their own places again when they leave.
Yeah, I mean, anything with Stephen Yeun, it's like, sign me up. I'll watch it because I think he's just great in it, great in everything he does. I wish he did more sometimes, but I think he's very choosy and like picky about what he signs up for. Beanie Feldstein, I also thought she's great in a lot of stuff. I've seen her in Booksmart, and that was really cool to see her in this to do a different type of role. And also Amy Schumer, I think we both aren't biggest fans of like her type of comedy, but it was surprisingly like not a bad performance for her. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then
no, like
Jane,
I said, like I was like kind of wanting more out of her character too.
Yeah, Jane Howdyshaw, who plays like the mom, she actually plays it in the play as well. So in theater, she actually like plays it, and then she decided to do the movie while everyone else is like recasted for the more movie type of role. So I thought that was interesting too.
And then I know she's in Only Murders, right? Which is kind of set like a playwright too.
I think so. Yeah.
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 And then getting into directing, I gave it an 8. Stephen Karam. I don't know if he's done anything else. I know you said he did the play as well, but it's a very interesting storytelling style. So I would like to see more like this from him in the future. If he does end up doing any other movies, that would be pretty cool. And I definitely will give it a shot after seeing this.
He hasn't done anything in a while. Like this was like his last film, and then he hasn't done anything since. He did a bunch of like plays and 3 films, and since then maybe he just like straight up was like, all right, I'm done. I made enough. Maybe, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. And then for soundtrack, I gave it an 8. I thought it used, you know, sounds particularly to build that like horror element up really well. You know, I just like you had to look up mid movie, like, is this an horror movie? Because it feels like something is like coming for them.
But really the real horror of it all was just like, I don't know if the father is like the villain of it all, or if it's more so just their family dynamic, like getting ruined / just like disappearing, like them pretty much not going to be in their lives much more after this like rough Thanksgiving. That was the horror of all. Yeah,
I think the main fear was the like persistence of generational trauma and not knowing what Richard was going through. We see that, you know, everybody else kind of has problems, like the younger people specifically. Richard was just kind of the one holding it in. But also, you know, to get into the themes, I gave it an 8, and it, you know, we talk about the fear of economic instability as well, kind of getting passed down, and then just the overall volatility in family relationships. You know, we all have families that we love, but you know, we all go our separate ways on our day-to-day, you know, our 9 to 5, everything like that, doing our own thing. And sometimes we kind of get, you know, further and further away as we get older from our families, unfortunately. Yeah.
So just like sometimes it's easy to forget that like everyone's going through like their own thing, their own personal struggles, but family's supposed to be there for you no matter what. And parents specifically are like so guarded, and they don't want to show like their kids that they're going through something. Again, I think that's like kind of changed with our generation and probably like the millennials as well, of like still being able to speak out and like ask for help when you need to. But it is part of that older generation where like no, you don't seek help and you don't let your kids know your weaknesses. So
Yeah.
I thought that.
And then getting into editing, I thought the editing was great in this. It's really like I keep touching on it, but it just shocked me so much that it was like edited perfectly like a horror movie, but it was really pushing the narrative that the biggest fear is their own relationships and trauma in those relationships. So it was just so well done. And like I said, I wish he would make more movies because I found it so interesting.
Yeah, for sure. It's such an interesting take on like such a like Thanksgiving itself. Like we were talking about before, people don't go into it because it could be like a very simple theme based around the movie, like Thanksgiving films. But with this, you could see how his take on it and a different opinion on it would be very intriguing. And I hope that people can like see that and kind of ride with trying to do more interesting topics around Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So overall, I gave it a 8.0 out of 10 or an 80. I really enjoyed this film. It was a real shocker for me when you told me you picked this for me this week. I was like, what is he doing? And then I'm so happy I watched it and got into this film because it was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. No, I picked it based off the trailer. I saw the cast because I first looked up Thanksgiving films and then I was like, okay, I haven't seen this one, so let's look into it. And it's like set on Thanksgiving, and I was like, oh, the trailer's got me. It's got me hooked. So I was like, let me pick it for this week. But I gave it also an 8 out of 10, so 8.0. Yeah, that's crazy. We gave it the same exact score, but I highly recommend it to anyone to go watch. It's on Tubi, which is like a free thing to sign up for. So go give it a watch.
The ads are kind of nuts. I'm going to let you know.
Yeah, some ads.
Let the viewers know.
Yeah. Just figure out for yourself if you ever use Tubi because the ads are not regulated at all. It seems like. Cool. What's your like standout performance? Because last week we did 2 movies that the standout performances were so obvious because there's the 2 main actors.
Yeah.
For this one, I don't think it's as obvious. What did you say is the standout?
I think Eric Blake. I know he was like mainly the main character. But, just covering up his trauma the whole time he's there and kind of watching his mannerisms to show, especially when he started talking about his dreams and what's been going on in his head a lot. And he's starting to slowly, inch out of him. And you feel that. And then finally, he kind of breaks down telling everybody. And then just seeing his fear at the end when the lights go out in the apartment. And he's just like lost in his own world at that point. It was pretty amazing to watch.
Yeah. I would say the same for me. Maybe I may want to pivot to Jane Addishaw, like the mom, just because she did both the theater and the movie itself. I thought she was great in it. So I'm trying to see if she won.
Yeah, I'd be interested to watch the play too.
Yeah, she actually did win a Tony for it, like, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
That she did that and then she didn't go into the movie. The other movie that we did this week was Fantastic Mr.Fox, one of Justin's like top tier movies that he would recommend it, and he keeps saying I gotta watch. So I was like, all right, perfect. We'll get to it here. It's just like a really simple story about like a fox and his family and changing his life, and then also getting back to it. But then it's kind of consequences to his actions, and then it's like a whole fun chase scene. These 3 farmers. I gave the plot a 9 out of 10. I thought it was really fun short movie that you could just like watch in an hour and a half and be like, yeah, that was awesome. Really fun. What do you think?
You mentioned last week on the biopics one about how Straight Outta Compton was like your, just your like chill day movie.
Yeah.
This is Fantastic Mr. Fox. This is my chill day movie. I can turn this on anytime and still like get enamored in it at like finding like little details and stuff. I think Wes Anderson does a good job at that. He always kind of puts in a lot of detail into his films. And so I always try to pick out like new things that I can find, everything like that. But I too love this plot. I think you can make it deep. You can make it, like a light watch. It's good for, children. It's good for adults. I love it.
Yeah. I think it's really well. I think it's probably Wes Anderson's best. Or Royal Tenenbaums I've seen. I really like too, but I think it's just so well done. Like such good details and like, especially like the small things and like of it, like with the foxes. Like at the end of the day, like they're animals, so like the smiles of like the foxes with like the sharp teeth and not like trying to humanize them, but then they're also like dressed up in like fancy clothes. So I thought that was really cool. Getting into characters, I gave it a 10 out of 10 because I thought the characters were really fun and really got me really engaged with like caring about them. And again, like such a simple story that it's just done so well that you just care so much about like all of them. Very good voice acting too. I think that also helps with the characters themselves.
Yeah, it definitely does. And the characters are, I wouldn't say one dimensional because I feel like people use that in a bad way, but they're very stuck in their ways. You don't see much character development except for Fantastic Mr. Fox,
Yeah.
voiced by George Clooney. But the rest of the characters are all they're set in being animals and they do their job and they go home. But he's the one who's kind of, caused all this. And then he's the one trying to dig them all out of it as well.
hmm Yeah. They were, even though they did, you don't have to like dive too deep into a character for it to be well done, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Cinematography,
exactly.
I give it a 9 out of 10 because I thought it was really well done, really well shot for like an animated feature, especially with like clay modeling kind of esque of like a cinematography or
Yeah.
art style compared to like a lot of like Pixar or something like that. So I thought that was also interesting. What
Yeah,
do you
the
think?
use of the colors in this movie were amazing too. I think it
Yeah.
was so bright, but also like that autumn feeling as well.
Mhm.
And then it just made like a really like whimsical style tale that I found so like cunning.
hmm Yeah, like the scenes of him, like him, I forget what the name of the character was, but he's like playing the song, but then they're like stealing the chickens and all that, like dancing at
Yeah,
each of the different farms. Like that's such a like
yeah,
interesting art style to just it kind of takes you out of the movie for a second, just like doing that little
yeah,
thing. But then the farmer's like, that song sucks. And I thought that was like a funny like cut scene. It was just like, well, maybe just
yeah.
stop playing it because it sucks. And it's like, oh, okay, but cool. Getting into dialogue, I gave it 8 out of 10. I thought it was pretty well like done, like talking between normal foxes and then to like the opossum. I thought it was also really funny. Just a lot of like really funny takes, but like opossum is so funny because like just the eyes every. But then like that would mean something. Yeah. um, you got anything to talk about dialogue?
Yeah, I think I really love the quote in this movie. I think about it all the time where, it's kind of I'd say the climax of the movie where he kind of has this monologue with his wife. And he says, I think I have this thing where I need everybody to think I'm the greatest. And, he kind of goes on about how he's a fox, this and that. And at the end of the day, he's just a wild animal, but he still wants to be the best for his family and for his community and everything like that. And I think I like resonate with that quote so much is just because everybody does, right? At the end of the day,
Yeah.
everybody wants to do their best and be the greatest. And, even though we make bad decisions sometimes, it's about how we overcome them. Even if we, absolutely screw our community and our family,
Yeah.
it's about, at the end of the day, bringing everybody back out of the hole that they dug themselves into and just doing our best.
Yeah. And then he's like the 5 most important people in my life with the opossum just like staring at him. I thought that was really funny too.
Yeah,
And that scene
the
also
possum
had like
was so funny.
didn't that scene also have like the girlfriend in that? And I was like, why is he talking about like Christopherson's like girlfriend as being like one of the most important people in his life? I was
Yeah.
like, why is she just like added all of a sudden to like their family? Like, what about her family?
Yeah.
Thought that was funny.
And then it was like, wasn't Christopherson supposed to go back? And then he was
Yeah,
just like still there.
yeah. It's like
And
I thought
then
that was just
his actual son, the whole movie is just like shitting on his dad because he's dying.
yeah, yeah. I was like, dang, dude, let the guy like. He just and then
He's
he's just
like,
like,
what? He's got like 5 weeks to live or something.
yeah,
He has like pneumonia.
yeah. He's double pneumonia. It's like, what? Is there a double pneumonia that you can have? Getting the sound effects or no acting. I gave it 8 out of 10. Very good voice acting in this. Like, I mean, you can
Yeah.
pick up on like the 2 main voices. For some reason, I couldn't pick up that it was Meryl Streep until like I looked into it. And I was like, oh, that's Meryl Streep. Maybe I just don't recognize her voice that well. But George Clooney and Bill Murray have such distinct voices that it's pretty easy to pick up that that's them.
Yeah. And I mean, what great choices too. Because I mean, one thing, I'm sure we'll get into this if we ever do an animation episode, but it's so important to have good dialogue and good voice acting from those characters because you have to bring out so much of the character in the voice. Obviously, animation can only do so much, and having those good voice actors really brings out the emotion.
hmm
And I think that was done perfectly here.
Yeah, almost all the best voice acting or the best like animated movies are because of how effective the voice acting is within it, and it's from like some of the biggest actors because they just bring them in, and it's probably easier for them because they don't have to do like a whole set and all that and like act with their bodies, and but rather it's just like their emotions. And if you see some videos of people voice acting, it's really fun because some of them get really into it, and which is like probably really hard to do because you're not actually, for the most part, you're not actually having dialogue in between people. You're reading lines.
Exactly, and you're staring at a booth basically.
Yeah,
trying to get as much emotion as you can.
Be like, yeah, you're like running right now, like you're running away from something, but you have to act in this way. So I thought that was really interesting. A lot of usual actors that Wes Anderson works with a good amount. I don't know if George Clooney works with Wes Anderson a lot or Meryl, but Jason Schwartzman, I'm pretty sure he's in like almost every other movie with Wes Anderson. And then Bill Murray, I feel like he's in almost every Wes Anderson film I see.
Yeah.
Like World Tenenbaums comes off the top of my head that he's in. And as well as the newest one, Asteroid City, I think it is. And then Jason
he's in that as well.
Yeah. But Jason Schwartzman, I'm pretty sure he's in the Grand Budapest Hotel. Okay.
Adrian Brody's in this too. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
So is Owen Wilson.
And William Dafoe. William Dafoe plays the rat.
Yep.
Yeah, Owen Wilson, again, another very unique voice. I picked it up with the coach, and he's only in there for like 5 minutes. But
yeah.
Sound effects, I gave it an 8 out of 10. Again, I thought it was like really effectively used without like in transitions in the movie of like them digging and all that, like the fun stuff, like when they were doing the heist. I thought that was really interesting.
I love the sound effect when like they go to eat, because they'll give like a nice speech before they go to eat, and then they start eating, and it's like the most ferocious animal sound you'll ever hear. It's like, oh my god, you almost forget that they're animals until they start eating again.
Well, they're all like,
no.
I'm pretty sure foxes are, but they're all like in the rodent family. So like, yeah, they're all they're all just rodents at the end of the day, just chowing down. But then they're like humanizing them with like cooking it really nicely and all that, and then just chow down on it. Still like animals.
A toast before the meal, and then they all just start ripping it to shreds.
So that was really interesting. Set design, I gave it a 9 out of 10 because it was a really cool set. Talk about like using colors. I really like the colors in this film. Again, not technically a Thanksgiving film, but like very Thanksgiving-esque with like orange, yellow, very fall like themes.
Yeah, I think overall all the sets were pretty amazing. One I wanted to shout out was the cellar scene. That was so interesting, just with thousands and thousands of bottles, because they had alluded to that all he does is drink cider as his diet. Yeah. And there's just thousands of bottles of it everywhere. It looks like a maze in there. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a pretty cool set too.
Yeah. The whole thing, I think, was just very well. Like the lookout of the tree towards the 3 different farms.
Yep.
And then getting into directing, I gave it a 10 out of 10. Again, I think I haven't seen many of his films, but seeing this and Royal Tenenbaums, like I think it makes sense why Wes Anderson is like one of the bigger names in Hollywood right now, because he has such a unique way to do movies compared to like everyone else. You could tell when it's a Wes Anderson film.
For sure. And he's definitely not scared to do it his way. And I think that's why a lot of people like him. He's going to do it the way he wants to do it, and without Hollywood's permission, basically. And if you really like this one a lot, I would recommend Isle of Dogs. Not as much for, the color and cinematography, but just a great story told in the same kind of claymation style.
Which is such interesting, because I haven't seen Rushmore, or like its like first big one, but I've heard that like that film is kind of different, and then Royal Tenenbaums really starts this like very unique way of storytelling that he just kind of follows with all of his movies afterwards.
Yeah.
I definitely have to like keep my eye on him, because I think he's like one of the bigger names like of directors nowadays, like him, Nolan, and as well as Denny, I would say, and Paul Thomas Anderson, like the more modern guys from like the 2000s and on, of like the newer generation I think there's all like this very same kind of generation of directors that are kind of big.
Yeah.
Very much of an influence of a lot of upcoming people. Getting into editing, I gave it a 9 out of 10. Again, it's a very like short movie in itself, so I think everything that was in it should have been in it, and it was really well done.
Yeah. I do like you were explaining earlier how like it almost takes you to a map view. You'll see them moving around doing what they're doing, and then before a big action thing happens, or maybe they're digging again. It kind of takes you outwards to like a large scale map view where you see
Hmm.
them digging underground or stuff like that. I think that was perfectly edited, and like you said, it kind of takes you out of the movie for a second, get a grand look, and then back to the plot point.
Yeah, no, that's a unique way of editing, but also like very well done. Just
Yeah.
a director's choice as well. Getting the theme, I gave it 8 out of 10. We were texting about this. Like, you got some super deep cuts for the theme. I was like more on the lines of like, it's like a fun Fox film.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's just like a fun story about him like being a little fox. You can't trust foxes and all that kind of stuff. You know, like, there's always like, I wouldn't say myths, but like urban legends about like you can't trust a fox or like kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Foxes are sneaky. Like Swiper from Dora, for example. Like, Swiper stopped swiping because it's a fox.
I definitely take this movie as the fox, having a midlife crisis and his kind of struggle with his wild nature and wild tendencies with being a fox. Obviously, he has a responsibility to his family, but also his community. And so that theme of internal struggle with having a midlife crisis is kind of him going back to his younger years and still wanting to do the fun, crazy stuff that he could always do before, but now he's kind of has these responsibilities that he has to take care of, and seeing that come out in him was pretty great. And at the end of the day, he realized, the people that he cares about is the one that's his responsibility, not his wild animal instincts.
Yep. Yeah. Once you told me that, I was like, yeah, I could definitely get that. Yeah, I could definitely see that coming out.
Yeah, but it is a fun Fox movie too.
Yeah. Exactly how you said before. It's good for adults and kids. Like it's a good movie for all of them. Where not many movies you could say that for. I think Pixar does a really good job at that. When Pixar is on like their top of their game with some of their movies, they do the same thing. It's good for kids and adults. Mm-hmm. But other than that, most movies really struggle trying to do both.
Yeah,
and aren't really made. I think that's like a unique thing about animation, though, in like animated movies. Overall, I gave it a 8.8 out of 10 or 88 out of 100. So very high rating. I really like this movie. I'll probably rewatch it and also like show my nephews it because I think they would get a good kick out of this movie and like it a lot.
I'm sure they would. Yeah, like you're saying, it's definitely made for both adults and kids. I gave it a 9.2. Like I stated, it's definitely one of my top 5 movies of all time, and it's super rewatchable too. I probably watched it 10 times, and actually, I've only seen this movie like 2 years ago. So it's just like super easy to turn on, relax, and watch. You don't have to think too much, but also if you want to, you can. It's a great time.
Yeah, it definitely makes me want to go and like go through like more of Wes Anderson's like type of films and like kind of itch him off or check off some of his movies.
It's definitely the best intro to Wes Anderson because some of Wes Anderson's can definitely get long and draggy. And so this definitely gets people into him. I would think this is what I'd recommend to anybody who's trying to watch a Wes Anderson movie for the first time, just because it's very digestible. It's not a whole lot to take in.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen Royal Tenenbaums?
I have not yet.
I highly recommend.
I've seen like
one.
5 other ones. I've seen like 5 other Wes Anderson movies though. Let me see. I've seen the Phoenician Scheme, which is the new one. I've seen Asteroid City, Isle of Dogs, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and that's it actually. 4 of them.
I know Grand Budapest Hotel is like the one that got the most love out of all of his films. Like I remember that won a bunch of awards or was nominated for a bunch. But awesome. So next what we're going to do is we are going to do a draft. But since we talked at the beginning, there aren't many Thanksgiving film drafts, even though that is the theme for the week. Instead, we're going to do a year draft, and we decided on 2016. Before we get into it, just talk about who we were in 2016, what kind of stuff we were into, and I'll get started so you could think of an answer. 2016, 15 years old, so I was in high school. We both were in high school, and this is prime Marvel days. This is prime MCU days. Yeah. So that was I would say my biggest movie takes at that point was I was reading comics, super into Marvel. We'll probably draft some Marvel movies in this draft. I'd be surprised if we didn't. High school, wasn't really into drama films, really. Most of the drama and the more Oscar-nominated films I saw later in 2016. Yeah. 2016, it would be mostly the big Hollywood production movies that probably did great at box offices with the type of films that I saw.
Yeah, I'd say in 2016, I knew absolutely nothing about film and cinematography and just being a cinephile at all, I guess. Like you said, I was super big into comics, but also huge Star Wars nerd. So both Marvel, Star Wars, DC, anything you can think of. Really was watching The Walking Dead a lot around that time, but never got into Breaking Bad. So it was just a lot of the nerdy stuff, zombies and superheroes and space, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I could see us still drafting a few of them because at the time, both Disney was cooking.
Yeah.
I'll just say
Disney was cooking this year. It was like the start of like Disney Star Wars pretty much after they bought George Lucas out, and they started off with some bangers. Like those just like we're definitely probably going to draft at least one of them and then talk about the other one. But sadly, I wish they would have just stayed on this high and then but sadly they messed up. I said it on a podcast a while ago, but like somehow Palpatine returned.
No, not again.
It's just like, come on now, Disney. But they cooked on this year, in my opinion. They were cooking this year. But cool. Yeah, so we'll pick. Let me share the screen again on our random name selector.
We don't need to spin. We know what's coming.
Yeah, it's probably going to be you again.
We know what's coming.
Yep.
Clap it up. Clap it up.
When in doubt, probably going to be you. Cool.
All right,
I have a feeling I know what you're picking, number one.
Yes, you do. I'm taking Oscar nomination, La La Land. This is right up there with Fantastic Mr.Fox, actually. It's probably number 1 or 2 in my top 5. And yeah, what a year. This movie was great. And I think I know which one you're going to take because you're a big fan of the other Oscar winner that year.
Yeah.
But maybe not. I'm not going to say anything.
One of the biggest Oscar moments. One of the biggest Oscar moments in history, like announcing La La Land as the winner, but then it was actually Moonlight.
Yeah.
And then all of them getting up there and then all of them having to come down and then Moonlight come up. What a crazy Oscars like moment itself. For 2 great movies, by the way. So like it's not that big of a surprise. My number 1 pick is going to be Moonlight for drama and thriller.
Well, that was not where I was thinking you were going, but
okay. You'll be surprised by the one that I pick. And are you picking La La Land just as like a Best Picture nominee? Because for Oscar we didn't go over the categories yet either. My bad.
No, we did not.
Yeah, the categories are Oscar nomination, but the way we're doing it is if you pick it for Oscar nomination, you have to pick what it was nominated for and like kind of highlight that. Kind of like how we did last week with standout performance. Once you pick it, you can't pick it anywhere else. Kind of idea. Yeah. And then box office over 200 million, which 12 films are only able to be selected for that, which is interesting as well. Drama / thriller, comedy, action / horror, and then we did a more fun one with This Is What's Wrong with Hollywood, and we can like kind of play around with like why we picked it, and then of course wild card. But cool. So you picking La La Land?
Wait, so I don't know much. Yeah, I guess just Best Picture.
I mean, you could pick it out as like Emma Stone winning. Yeah, it did not win Best Picture. It lost.
Let me see what it won.
It won Best Cinematography.
It's so hard to find this stuff. Why do they make it such a pain? It won Best Cinematography?
I'm pretty sure.
I'll take that then. Yeah, I mean, the cinematography in that movie, I talked about it, when we did Emma Stone, and it's so well done in that movie. From the, like we talked about, the colors, the red, the blue, kind of making purple whenever they're around. It's so well done. I could go on for a long time about it, but
yeah. I knew you were selecting it, so I didn't even like put it on my like list anywhere because I was like, all right, getting back to my pick now after we got sidetracked. Moonlight and drama thriller is where I took it because I think that's not as deep of a category for me personally. We'll see when we get more into it. Mm-hmm. But I picked it there. I really like Moonlight. It's such a beautiful story. You haven't seen it, right? Have you seen it?
I have not.
Yeah. You got to.
No.
It's like told in three different stages of his life about a guy that ends up coming out as like being gay, and Mahershala Ali is like really only in the first part, but he ends up winning an Oscar based off his performance, where he's in only, I think it's the lowest like amount of somebody being in a movie to still win an Oscar for like best supporting actor, which I thought was also really interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. So With my second pick, because I don't think you're going to go after my Oscar nomination. This is hard.
I would take it if you want it because I have one lined up that I also had.
I think I've taken it in almost every draft. I think every draft that has been available for, I think I've taken it. So I'm taking Rogue One in box office.
Okay.
I think I know which one you were talking about, but I don't know. I like Rogue One more than the other one personally. I think I said like 3 episodes ago. It's probably my second favorite Star Wars ever. It really got me into Star Wars because yes, I grew up with it, but I wasn't like a Star Wars like big fan before. And then I saw this in theaters, and I was like, sign me up.
Yeah.
And
no, it's such a well done story.
Yeah, I mean, it's the coolest Darth Vader has ever looked in any other thing. Like that one scene itself should like win a bunch of awards for how cool Darth Vader just looks. Like if there's like the coolest scene in cinematography, like in film history, it should be that Darth Vader scene.
Yeah, no, for real, it's so scary, and the rest of the story is so grounded too. I think that's kind of where Disney got away. They tried to make every movie bigger than the last when you didn't need to. You have so many like grounded stories that people really enjoy seeing.
Yeah, and I mean, look at Andor. Like the reason why it's getting so much love is because it's so grounded.
Mm-hmm. It's so well done.
Cool. It's your second pick.
So for drama thriller, I'm gonna go Hell or High Water.
Another one that we did.
I know you were a big fan of this.
Yeah.
So that's why that's the one I was hinting at. You better take it now, or I'm taking it. Yeah, I know we did this one on the show. I really enjoyed it, and I had no idea it came out this year, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of a stacked year, like a really good year. So
yeah, it is.
Yeah, I love Hell or High Water.
For comedy, I'm gonna take one of my favorite movies, comedy movies, The Nice Guys. This movie is so hilarious in so many ways. It's not trying to be too funny. It just is. And it's a funny plot. You know, obviously we have Ryan Gosling kind of plays the main character in it. I haven't seen it in a while, and I definitely want to go back and rewatch it.
Yeah. Dude, what a year for Ryan Gosling. Nice Guys and La La Land. Like, can many people say, like, 2 banger of a movies, like, in the same year? Like, what a crazy run. And before this, he was kind of just known as, like, the Notebook guy, a romantic comedy kind of guy. And then he came out with these 2, and you're like, he could do it. He could do it all. And then he's kind of gone Hollywood-ish now with like the Barbie movie and First Man. But I'm looking forward to, there's a new movie coming out, like a new space one that he's going to be part of. What's it called?
Okay.
I forget what it is. But really popular book too. So I'm looking forward to his future stuff. Dang it. That was going to be my comedy. That was my top comedy one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to with, this is hard because I just really don't think that you're going to go after my Oscar nomination. Let's go with action horror, just because you haven't seen this movie, but this movie's another just banger, Arrival.
Okay, yeah. I think we talked about doing that for Amy Adams, right?
Yep. It's a Denny movie too, Denny Villanueva. So great movie by him. It's really like what comes off the surface as like an alien movie, and yes, it is, but it's really just diving into like trauma of it, like Amy Adams' character in it. Jeremy Renner's also in it. Forrest Whitaker, just really well done. Such like a eerie movie too.
Yeah,
it's really interesting way to like look at it. Cool, and I'm gonna be a little weird with this one. I'm gonna go with Wild Card before anything else, just because I really want to pick it, and I have a feeling that you're going to go after it and or not pick it. Going to go with Captain America Civil War.
Yeah, damn it.
Yeah, just because, Civil War, this is like peak MCU for me. This is like this year and then leading into like 2020 of like the Endgame and Infinity War. This is like when MCU was like top tier, was taking over box offices, and for the right reasons. It had me locked in. It had me like watching like film reviews of Marvel movies, of like trying to like get Easter eggs out of each thing based off of comic books and all that kind of stuff. I love Civil War. So well done. Yeah. I could talk about Civil War all day, just how much it had an impact on like the MCU and like my own personal life of how much I love comic books.
Yeah. So for mine, I'm going to pivot my action category then, and I'm going to go with Deadpool. Another great comic book one. I think we talked about it a little bit with Ryan Reynolds last week when we did the Immaculate Grid. But
Yep.
Deadpool is hilarious, and people were waiting so many years for this movie. Obviously, he's such a big comic book character, and people had been wanting him for so long. And then, if you kind of watch videos or read about how it all ended up coming to be with Ryan Reynolds, and Reynolds had been trying to get it into production for like 10, 15 years after Green Lantern tanked, and he was like, no, this is the comic book character for me. And there's just all kinds of little small things that leaked out, and then it forced other people to, now we actually have to like start working on this because people think we're doing it.
Yeah.
Leaked test footage, all that stuff. And it just ended up being such a great movie.
Yeah, dude, this is so X-Men Origins, like Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
He plays Wade Wilson in that, and people hate that take on Deadpool, and that kind of like fueled him.
It's so
to
bad.
kind of it's horrible, but that kind of fueled him to like kind of just go after like the film industry and get to make this movie happen, not in the most traditional way. And also an R-rated like comic book movie, people are like, that won't make that much money, and it ended up making a crazy amount of money. Super risky to make an R-rated like Marvel movie. And this is also while Fox has like X-Men stuff, so this is before like the combination or the joint of them, which looking back on, I didn't think there was a chance of that ever happening. And then now that there's going to be a new X-Men movie in like a couple years.
Yeah, well, same year, we never thought we'd see Spider-Man with the Avengers either.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That happened.
Yeah, same year. And then he just pops up in Civil War. I still remember that when that trailer came out with Spider-Man, and everyone was going crazy.
Yeah, and it was done so well. I mean, just like him like fighting Falcon, Winter Soldier, and he's like talking to them the whole time. Yeah, it was awesome. And then I guess I have one more, huh? I'm going to do this one for Madison. I'm going to take Zootopia for box office over 200 million. That's her favorite movie. She'll be happy to see that I took that. But it is really a great family movie, and it's a fun story. And we have tickets opening night to see Zootopia 2, so...
Yeah, I can't wait for it too. This is a really good example of like Disney doing a well-done animation. Jason Bateman's great as the Fox too. Talk about another Fox. I'm a little surprised but you guys picked that one instead of the other big animation film that year, but you may still pick it.
Oh yeah, I still can, but I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. For me, I guess I'm just going to start ticking it off with comedy. Yeah, it doesn't really matter for what order, but for comedy, I'm going to go with Everybody Wants Some. Another interesting movie. I think it's, Richard Linklater does it, the guy that did Boyhood, some of the before and afters, and then he does the one with Matthew McConaughey all in the 90s. Do you remember what that called again? It's like a...
Oh, no, didn't we have that in Immaculate Grid?
Yeah, something like that. But as Everybody Wants Some, it's just like about a day in like a college, about a baseball team, and just like a frat, and pretty much just like, it's really funny, really follows like all these interesting characters. Glenn Powell's in it before he starts getting big, so recommend if you just want like a funny movie to watch. It's on Netflix. And then for Oscar nomination, and I'm just gonna save that for last, with What's Wrong with Hollywood, I'm gonna go with...
You've been like teasing your Oscar nomination.
I know. I want to save it for last. What's Wrong with Hollywood? I'm going with the Ghostbusters movie that year.
Oh yeah, dude, that was so bad.
Yeah, you want to talk about ruining like a franchise or like such like a beloved movie in the 80s and 90s with Bill Murray and like Dan Aykroyd, and then you just like California Hollywood it, and it's just, I don't want to get too into it of why I hate it, but like there's just no need for the way that they took it.
I will say the franchise kind of redeemed themselves with the new one. I liked the new one. Because
one, they casted Paul Rudd, which everyone loves Paul Rudd. No one hates him. But also they get away from like clearly just trying to Hollywood it, and they're like, let's get back to like what Ghostbusters actually kind of is.
Yeah.
Really shameful because all like the actresses in it are super funny too. Like I love like their stuff on SNL and all that kind of stuff, and some of their other movies. I just hate that they decided to bring it all together into a Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah. I think, is it my turn?
Yep.
Okay. So I take two here, or just one? Okay. So I'm gonna go wild card first. I lied. I'm gonna go bad movie first. I'm gonna take Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice. I have so many issues with this movie. Besides the fact that it was so clearly just trying to do Captain America: Civil War in DC, and they tried to rush out the Avengers. And yeah, dude, this was so bad. And
Yeah.
it's lucky that it's on here because I almost picked Suicide Squad, which same thing, just as bad. You tried to just do what Marvel's been doing and just figure it out. Instead, you rush these great characters. One, Batman shouldn't kill. Two, you kill off Superman just to bring him back immediately in the next movie. Three,
Yep.
what does Martha being both their moms' names have to do with you not killing Superman, even though you have kryptonite to his chest? Like,
Yeah,
so what? I'm done.
the Superman, like, I don't know. I'm not super big into Superman's like comic book lore or anything like that. I'm pretty sure his mom's name isn't even Martha in the comics, so they just made this up for the fucking movie, which was really
Yeah.
stupid. Like, Martha is 100% Batman's like real mom's name in like every single like
Yeah.
iteration of it, and they just do it for the movie for Superman. That's that connection. God, what a shameful thing. Because Man of Steel, I was excited.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, Man of Steel, like, I guess they're doing a darker depiction of like DCU, like compared to what MCU is doing. And then this and Suicide Squad, two great trailers, by the way. Like, the trailers, this is a good example of like, you could do trailers really great and it gets you excited for a movie, and both movies are just big flops and it's just garbage. Yeah.
Dude, the thing with Suicide Squad that kills me still is I still hear all those songs from that soundtrack today, like regularly. Like, you'll hear the songs in department stores or on TikTok edits. Like, I'm like, how did the movie trash so bad, but everything around the movie was so great? I've never seen like a more influential movie in that sense.
Yeah. Because then you had like Jared Leto trying to do a Heath Ledger thing, but like, just at the end of the day, Jared Leto, you're not Heath Ledger. Like, I don't know how to break it to you, but you disgraceful Joker adaptation. And
Yeah.
having such great actors and actresses that ruin, like, mess up a movie is surprising too. But I will say Margot Robbie's great in it. Like, about Suicide Squad, that's like the one highlight. Margot Robbie's pretty great.
And dude, a lot of people don't know that like Harley Quinn wasn't a character 10 years before this. Like, she was very new, and Margot Robbie made her so iconic. Like, you still see people wearing the exact same costume for Halloween from that movie. Not even the newest Suicide Squad by James Gunn, the actual one from the original in 2016. And it's like, how is this movie so bad yet so influential to pop culture still today?
Yeah, exactly.
It makes no sense at all.
That's why I am glad that you picked Batman versus Superman compared, because even though to this day I still fight that I don't think Henry Cavill's the best Superman. I think David Cornsweat's going to go down as like probably a top 2 one. Christopher Reeves being the Superman.
The one, yeah.
I don't think Ben Affleck's a bad Batman. I think he just had really horrible writing and really bad setup. He's a perfect, like, he looks like
Very
Batman.
much.
Yeah, I think he just looks like, plays
He
the part
looks
of an
like
older
Batman.
one.
He acts like Batman. Yeah, the bad writing, and then also like Zack Snyder's just negligence to be like, I'm gonna take the one thing about Batman not killing and not being as low as his villains, and just say throw it out the window.
Yeah,
Now, like, you're taking up such a big part of his character away.
I really wish Ben Affleck ended up doing his own Batman movie, because it was in the works and then they just canceled it.
Yeah.
That he was going to direct his own. I thought that would have been really good, honestly. I thought that would have revived some DCU, but then they decided to go a whole different way, which we'll see how James Gunn goes about.
Part of the reason
go
they
into it.
canceled it
Sorry.
too was because of the Pattinson Batman, and they didn't want two Batmans being out around within a year of each other in the theaters, because it would just really confuse people. And so I kind of get that, and I'm not mad that they canceled that one, because the new Batman is
Yeah. I mean, he's such a good character, so I'm interested to see if James Gunn tries to make him a little bit more jokey in the future. I really hope not. I really hope they don't try to make him funny. Batman's not supposed to be a funny character. Not at all.
Make him comedically brooding and like gothic, and it'll be funny in that sense. And that's okay.
Exactly. I still think Robert Pattinson's Batman can still fit in the DCU, but it sounds like they're just not doing that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Now that we just talked about,
to go on the tangent.
Yeah.
I'll do my wild card. I'll take. I was gonna take Hacksaw Ridge, but we just did that with war movies, so I'm gonna do 10 Cloverfield Lane. I really enjoyed that movie this year. Kind of one of the first, like, I wouldn't say real horror movies, but thriller style movies I had ever seen. It started kind of getting me down that path, and like American Psycho, The Shining, stuff like that. It got me to step out of my comfort zone and watch those. I've never been a big horror person, but very interesting story. About how the end of the world kind of sends people into disarray, and yeah, I don't want to spoil too much of it if you haven't seen it, but I enjoyed it.
No, I've seen it. I was surprised that you've seen it, honestly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I like it.
Have you seen the original Cloverfield? Because this is like
No,
sequel.
I haven't. I know that one. Yeah. Well, so what I've read, this is a sequel, but it all has to do with separate universes.
Yeah,
So
because there's like a
something with the
Netflix one
third
too.
I guess it's like
Yeah,
it's like a paradox. So each universe has their own monsters, and then some people say that the Cloverfield universe is also connected to the what's the one John Krasinski directed,
The Quiet Place.
A Quiet Place universe. They say it's connected somehow. I don't know. I'm not getting into all that.
Yeah,
I know the first Cloverfield is really well known for kind of like camcorder
yeah,
filmed movie, which is kind of interesting considering things like the Blair Witch Project and stuff like that. But I haven't seen it yet, so I need to watch it.
yeah. I recommend it. If you like this, you'll definitely like that one too. Cool. So now my highly awaited Oscar nomination pick. I'm picking Casey Affleck in Manchester by the Sea.
Okay.
Yeah. Dude, he's astounding in this movie. Super sad movie. So if you're going to watch it, just be fully prepared. Really depressing movie, but Casey Affleck just is amazing in this. 100% deserved best actor that year. We talked about in La La Land. It's like, oh, Ryan Gosling was great. I'm sorry, but Casey Affleck was just on a different level in this movie. He just overtakes the movie, and the movie is like pretty much big because of him. Yeah. If you just want to see an actor just cook, just go see this movie.
Yeah. I've heard really great things about it. I've just never gotten around to watching it.
Cool. Some honorable mentions was Moana. Surprised we didn't pick Moana.
Yep.
One of the top misses for this one. It could have gone in a bunch of categories. It won Best Animated Feature that year over Zootopia. Yeah, I love Moana too. Drama Thriller had all of them were picked. Box Office, Force Awakens. That's a big one that we didn't pick either. I thought it was pretty well done. Just the two follow-on movies kind of suck. Yeah, we already talked enough about it. Action horror, Hacksaw Ridge. We didn't pick that one. Another surprising one. Split. Do you remember that movie with James McAvoy?
Yeah, I do.
It was big that year. It was really big. Like I remember it was like one of the bigger movies that year. Really well done too. Train to Busan. I've seen that movie. It's a zombie movie. Really well done Korean movie as well. And then Hush, which is like a horror movie about like a blind or a deaf girl that can't hear stuff, and how like a guy's like intruding into her house, and it's kind of based around like she can't hear anything, but a bunch of crazy stuff's going on. And then Wild Card, going all right. Founder, the one with what's his name? I forgot his name.
Michael Keaton.
Yep, Michael Keaton, about the owner of McDonald's. And then War Dogs with Jonah Hill and Miles Teller. Cool. Anything for you?
Yeah, I also had Finding Dory. Deepwater Horizon was a big one that year. 13 Hours. And then for bad movies, we also got to give Marvel some shit here with X-Men Apocalypse. That one was not that great.
Yep.
And then
I blame Fox.
also,
I blame Fox.
I remember. Yeah. I mean, it's Fox, but it's still a Marvel property.
Yeah.
And then probably, honestly, it could have been the worst movie of the year, but I just cared more about the other ones to be better. This one was Sausage Party. Do you remember that movie?
Oh, dude, I can't believe that there's like follow-on stuff to that movie too. There's like a show and stuff, and I'm like, why would you do that? The worst. You know what? Leading up to the last 10 minutes, I'm like, you know what? This isn't like that bad. The last 10 minutes of that movie, I hope people don't have to sit through that ever again in their life. Like, I never want to sit with myself through that. Some people love that movie. Some people like die by that movie. It's weird. Another, What's Wrong with Hollywood? Independence Day. Dude, that came out that year. The sequel to the one in the 90s.
I haven't seen it. Yeah.
Dude, it's so bad. I haven't rewatched it, but I just remember it being like one of the worst things I've ever seen in a theater. I think it's one of the only movies I've walked out on.
Wow.
Me and my dad were like, yeah, this is ridiculous, and then we just left. We're like, yep, no. It's like again, I'm not going to say it again, but it's like somehow they returned, but this time we are prepared for them. And it's like, huh? That's what you're going with for this? It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's crazy when movies do that.
Cool.
It happens way too much for like big companies to be able to just think that that's okay.
Yeah, this was fun to do like a year draft to like look back on like some year and like kind of pick it out. But cool. Well, this was a fun thing. The theme was Thanksgiving, even though we went to 2016. Thanks for listening, though. This was fun.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.